Good morning. So it's already May. I can't believe it. We're that close to the end of the school year. We're on lesson 158, which is the introduction to banking. So it's just some basics today. I think you'll find it pretty easy. And we're using pages 285 and 286. But first we're going to do a review. We're going to start off with some mental math problems. I've got 4 for you this morning. All right, so starting with the first one, let's do this and get our brains warmed up and in math gear. 9 minus 6 plus 5 plus 7 minus 9 plus 8 plus 3 minus 6 equals. Hopefully you got 11 because that is the correct answer. Here's another one. This one's longer today. 13 minus 5 times 9 plus 3 divided by 25 times 4 times 12 divided by 12 plus 5 minus 1 divided by 8 times 6 equals. Did you get 12? So the last answer was 11. This one's 12. No, they are not going in order. Those two just happen to. But 12 is the correct answer. Here's another fairly long one. 24 divided by 2 divided by 2 divided by 2 times 4 times 6 divided by 8 divided by 3 plus 4 plus 1 minus 5 minus 3 equals. You should end up at 0. 0 is the answer to that one. All right, not as long. Here we go, last one. 10 plus 10 divided by 2 times 5 times 4 minus 15 plus 3 equals. Did you have 188? Because 20 divided by 2 is 10, times 5 is 50, times 4 is 200. So that's where it went up into the higher numbers. And then minus 15, you should recognize, was 185 plus 3. All right, so I'm going to show you the fraction. You should be able to identify the decimal version. Starting with this, we have 0.2, 0.375, 0.6, 0.4, I'm trying to read them all backwards, 0.16 with the repeating bar over the 6, 0.875, 0.6 repeating, 0.125, 0.75, 0.625, 0.3 repeating, 0.25, 0.5 or 0.50 is fine, 0.83 with a bar over the 3, 0.8. For this one, what would this be rounded to the nearest hundredth? You should know it's 0.14. How about to the nearest tenth? 0.1. Remember, when we're rounding to the hundredths place, we look at this. Is it enough to bump this up, 5 or higher? And then we drop that digit off, so it'd be 0.14. If we're rounding to the nearest tenth, this isn't enough to bump this up. It's not 5 or higher. We drop those 2 off. It's just going to be 0.1. All right, we don't need the extra zeros there. Okay, again, I'm going to show you these, and you need to give me the decimal equivalent. 0.01, 0.04, 0.23, 0.025. Because remember, if I convert this with a decimal in the percent, 2.5%, I still need to find the decimal value and move it over twice. 0.025, 0.73, 0.19, 0.07, and I'm back to the original. All right, so take out your math sheets now. We're going to go over the information in terms, so getting familiar with some of the terminology used in banking. Just going through the facts. So fact 1, a checking account, which can be opened easily at any local bank, is one way to handle money in a responsible manner. Rather than keeping things tucked away at home or constantly using cash, there are some advantages to using a checking account at a bank. All right, number 2, a check is an order directing the bank to pay money to the person or company to whom the check is written, right? So the check has no value in and of itself, but once you write that and you give it to a company or to a person, they can take that to a banking institution and they turn it in, and it is an order for your payment to then be made by the bank to that person. All right, so number 3, a depositor is one who puts money in a bank account. When you deposit something, you place it, right? Same with the bank. You're placing it in that account. So you're putting money in a bank account. A depositor may be assessed a monthly service charge, which is a fee for the privilege of writing checks. Now, most banks, because they want to compete for your business, offer feeless checking account as long as you have so much in your account or you don't write over so many checks, which a lot of people don't use too many personal checks anymore because we have things like debit cards and things like that. So a lot of banks don't even have that fee anymore, but it used to be true. You'd have to pay a monthly fee. Some banks offer free checking. Deposit slips are what's used to put money into a bank account. So if you have, let's say, for example, a paycheck or you've gotten birthday money, you fill out the deposit slip. It's got your account number on it. You fill in the amount you're depositing, and then you turn that into the bank teller or to the ATM machine. And you put that in there, and then that tells them exactly which account it goes into. And that's another paper trail that you've put money into there. So number 4, the bank balance is the amount in the account. And that balance changes from day to day, moment to moment, as you're using your account both to receive payments or usually and more frequently make payments when you're purchasing things and paying bills. So the balance is what is in that account at the moment. It varies as deposits are made, checks are written, and electronic transfers are made. So it changes from time to time. Number 5, a checkbook register. And when you order checks from your bank, you do get this. It's like a little booklet. It's used to record the deposits made, the checks written, the bank service charges, the interest earned, and the current balance. So it's just a little booklet for you to keep track what's going out, what's coming in, so you can keep an eye on that balance for those of you that like it written. Now with mobile banking and things like that, a lot of times you can just get on and keep track of your balance daily and just check to see what charges are going out or what things are coming in online, rather than write it. But there are some people like me that like to also have things in writing. Checking records should be kept accurately to avoid an overdraft. If you forget to put that you've paid something or to subtract money that you have going out of your account and you have the wrong balance, and then you start writing checks and you don't have the money to cover it, it's called an overdraft, a withdrawal of more money from the bank than is in the account. So you can get into the negative. We talked about negative numbers. And then the bank charges you extra fees. So when you do replace that money or more money comes into your account, they get to subtract that other money out plus the fees and get you back on track. So you want to make sure that you're keeping track. You don't want to overdraft or overspend. So you don't do what my friend's wife did. She thought as long as they had checks, they had money. And she had no clue, yes, this was an adult, she had no clue that you had to pay attention to how much money so that you didn't keep writing checks. She thought, as long as there are checks in the checkbook, I can just keep writing checks and having money. And he ended up having to pay back a lot of money because he had a ditzy wife and he had to then teach her how the banking system works. Number 6, at periodic intervals, usually monthly, the bank may return canceled checks. Now, they don't usually do this. I used to get a full envelope in the mail and all of those checks would be there. Nowadays, what they'll do is send it in an email, or I can go online and mobile banking and I can click on the checks and it will show me a picture of it. So I can literally see a picture of the check the bank received. And if it's not something that's been for me or if it's forgery, I could report it. Never had that happen. But I can actually physically see the picture of the check rather than get the paper back in the mail. Many banks charge a fee for canceled checks. So if you've had to cancel a payment, and you say, no, don't pay on this check, something faulty happened, or it was a wrong amount, or things like that, they can charge a fee for having to stop payment on a check. All banks send a statement showing the balance for the beginning of the period, again, usually month to month, a chronological listing of all checks and deposits, service charge, electronic transfers, interest earned if you have an account that earns interest, and then the balance at the end of the period, so month to month. And most do this now by email or tell you your statement's available online, and you can go on and look that up. So they're trying to eliminate the paper trail and do everything electronically, but some people still like to pay checks for certain things. We use checks mostly for, let's say, for example, Emma's horse lessons. It's a nonprofit ranch, and she prefers checks because then she's got record of that going into her business rather than cash, which just shows a deposit being made, not from where or for what. So things like that, or paying tithes at church, since we don't carry cash too much. Those would be places where we would use checks, maybe writing it to a person, like if I'm sending it to my brother for birthday gifts for my nephews or something like that, because you never ever want to mail cash, ever. So checks I don't use too frequently. Most businesses don't accept checks anymore. There are grocery stores and things like that that will do it. So really, we use electronic banking more often, but the concept's still the same with your deposits and your withdrawals or your payments. So for the class practice, let's go ahead and do these story problems together. We're going to do some examples right here, and then you'll see how easy this is when we get to these. Again, not major concepts in high finance and banking, but just basic concepts that you need to understand, because one day you will have a checking account and you'll have to keep track of your balance and things, and you'll know that you had a good math teacher that taught you how to add and subtract your deposits and your payments. All right, so for example, if your balance is $237.62, that's the money that's available in your account, and you wrote a check for $89.78. Okay? You're to find the new balance. That's easy because whenever you write a check, you're paying money out. And of course, with money, we remember we always keep the decimal points lined up when we are subtracting and adding. You don't have to when you're multiplying and dividing, but we always do. So we're just going to do some basic subtraction today. Woohoo! I know some of you are extremely happy to hear that word basic. All right, 16 minus 9, 12 minus 8. So your new balance that is available is this. Now the thing with checks, when you write it, it does not come out of your account right away. It usually takes about 3 to 5 business days by the time, let's say, you pay a check, a bill, you send it in the mail. Well, it takes a couple days to arrive there. They process, record it, then they also have to deposit that into their bank. Their bank has to process, verify it, and then those funds are removed from your account. So it's important to keep track. All right, if I go online, I might still see this, but I know this is coming out, so this is really what I have available to now spend from. Okay. All right, now let's say another account has a balance of $1,673.95. This person, let's say they mow lawns or something, and they get a check, and it's for $189.43. Let's say from that customer, that's what they owe them, and they get paid their amount. So now what is going to be their new balance? Again, some simple math. But because we're depositing it, you need to be remembering deposit means to add money in or to place it in there. A check is writing an amount that's getting paid out of there. So instead of subtracting when we deposit, we are adding it in. So $189.43. And you should be doing this along with me, not just sitting there at your seat, staring and watching for me to get to the part that's in your book. Don't be lazy. Come on. All right, 5 and 3. Let's keep our decimal point in there. 8 and 1. All right, so the new balance available, $1,863.38. Okay, so those are the concepts when we're writing a check, we're paying it out. When we are making a deposit, we're putting money into the account, adding it to our balance. And then the new balance, not the sneaker or footwear, but the change in our balance is what we're looking for in the answer. All right, so class practice number 1 says Austin Miller wrote a check for $253.84. So that's the amount of the check. Before writing the check, he had a balance of $762.51. What is his balance now? All right, so how do you set that up? I'm not going to solve this for you, but let's go ahead and set these up, and then you can go back and solve or pause and solve, whichever you choose to do. All right, so we have $762 was the balance, and how many cents? 51 cents. Before he wrote the check. So that's going to be the number you're subtracting the check from. $253. And what was it? 84 cents, 83 cents, 84. And that's how you find his new balance. You can solve that on your own. So let's go to B. Oops, this would be 1A. There we go. Problem B. Before Mr. Hernandez deposited his paycheck of $587.96, he had a balance of $2,475.68. What is his new balance? Again, you're going to start with that balance. Okay. So his balance was $2,475. $2,400. This is where you guys would be helpful because you could say, and 68 cents. And I would say, oh, thank you so much. That's helpful. But I can't say that, can I? So he deposited his paycheck. So we know it's a deposit. We're going to add it in, $587.96. And of course, keeping those decimal points lined up. And do remember, I will take off a point if you don't have that dollar sign in your answer. So make sure, because we're dealing with money, your answer has the dollar sign in it. All right, C. Notice it starts to change a little and give us a little more information. Andrea Jenkins had a balance of $81.34 before making an automatic withdrawal of $20. So a lot of times you can set up automatic payments that go out each month or each week if it's something that's a regular occurrence and an amount that doesn't change. Like say, for example, if you get your lawn done, all right, that company is going to charge the same each time. Or if it's, let's say, for example, dance lessons, it's going to be the same every month. You just set it up for automatic payments because it's always the same. So she made an automatic withdrawal. A withdrawal is the same as a payment. You're taking it out, you're withdrawing it from the account. But she also has to pay a 75-cent withdrawal fee. So we know she starts with $81.34. She's withdrawn $20, but she's also charged 75 cents for that withdrawal fee. Well, you could be able to figure out that means the total coming out is this. Now you could subtract 20, get an answer. Easy, 61.34. And then subtract 75 cents. Okay? Or you can just subtract the whole amount like this, recognizing, okay, she's taking out 20 and being charged 75 cents by her bank. So what's left is going to be her actual balance. You have to remember this needs to be subtracted too, okay, because that's not going to be available in her balance anymore. All right, D. Let's set this one up. On August 28th, Jay Crosby made a deposit of $850 and wrote checks for $27.86 and $104.19. Okay. He began the day with a balance of $93.45. What is his balance now? So there's several steps, but they're telling us where we're starting from. He's starting with $93. Now, before he makes those payments, it says he deposited $850. Now, please remember, 850 better line up like this, because we know it's represented like this, and we have to be able to keep those decimal points lined up. If I put the 8 here, the 5 here, and the 0 here, that's going to look like $8.50, and that's going to be a bad situation for Mr. Crosby. All right, then he wrote checks. Well, once you get that answer, then you're going to subtract the first check, $27.86. Get that answer, and then from there, you'll subtract your $104.19. What's another way we could have done it? We could have combined the two checks for the total that he's paying out and then just subtract it once here. Okay, so there's several ways, but you definitely need to add in what he's depositing first and subtract out the payments. I can subtract them one at a time, or I can add them together and subtract his total payment amounts from his balance. So there's more than one way to set it up, but by doing it this way, it shows very clearly all three parts, and make sure you didn't do this twice or leave something else out. All right, problem E. Miss Arnold opened a checking account with her first paycheck of $1,287.95. Her bank charges a service fee of $5 per month plus 25 cents per check if the account balance is less than $1,500. Okay? The bank charged her $17.50 for 200 checks. You do have to buy your checks from the bank. Okay, one, because they need to be legal paper. Two, because it costs them money to print them out. They have your account information, your name, your phone number, your address. All right, so it's not like if you don't buy them and pay for them, oh, we'll just send this order to somebody else. So it costs them money. Yes, they charge you for checks. So she bought the checks, 200 of them, for $17.50. Then during the first month, she wrote checks for $140, $123.74, $143.78, and $12.97. If no deposits were made, what was her balance at the end of the month? This we are going to work through together because there's a lot of information here, and we need to find the solving process step by step. All right, so she deposited her first amount, $1,287.95. Okay, so this is her checking account. She's going to make no more deposits, it tells us, at least until the end of the month. All right, her bank charges a service fee of $5 per month. Remember, that's $5, not 5 cents. It does not get lined up over there. All right, so let's go ahead and charge her that service fee. And yes, I know you can do it in your head, but see, banking and keeping track of accounts is all about showing it. So we want to make sure that we've got that. And oftentimes, you want to write what it is for, so you know, where was that $5? What was that from? And then you add it back in later or can't keep track. And in a bank register and a check register, that little booklet I told you about, there's a place to put what it is for. All right, so that might be useful. Now she's charged 25 cents per check if her account balance is less than $1,500. Well, it never got up to $1,500, so she is going to be charged that per check. All right, it tells you that the first month she wrote 1, 2, 3, 4 checks. So if it's 25 cents per check and she wrote 4 checks, we should be able to tell that that's $1, okay? So woohoo, she is charged $1 for 4 checks, okay? Still not difficult math. Just making sure we're keeping track of everything. Now, the bank charged her $17.50 for 200 checks. Okay, so she had to buy the checks. So we subtract that out. And you should be showing your work, not just watching me do it. So here we've got this balance so far. All right, now let's subtract those check amounts. You can do it two ways. Subtract each check at a time, which actually is a good strategy, or add up all the costs of your checks and subtract it at once. Not necessarily a great strategy in banking when you want to keep record of each payment. Each check, by the way, comes with a check number. So when you're recording it going out, it's very important to write in your register what the check number was, who it went to, along with the amount. So the first one was for $140. I'm going to come back up here. $1,264.45. So we're going to subtract the first check. Remember, it's not this. That would be like subtracting $1.40, and you would have a very different amount when it came to what the bank said you had and what you said you had. Let's say this is check number 1. All right, no checks are over number 1, but we'll just put it on there for our sake. All right, let's subtract. But she wrote 4 checks, so we got to keep going. The next one was for $123.74. Again, you should be doing your work along with me. 3, 14 minus 7. Oh, that's a horrible 7, but it's a 7. 3 minus 3, 2 minus 2, 1. All right. Oops, this was check number 2. There we go. Okay. Now we know she wrote a third check. I have room for a third check right under here. $143.78. That's a better 7, my goodness. All right, 6, 3. I'm just going to jump ahead here. I know if I borrow 1 from 1,000, it's $9.99. All right, 16 minus 7. 3, 9 minus 4, 9 minus 1. Is it getting painful to see this number going down? Now you have a small taste of what it's like when you're an adult and you get to see these numbers dwindle as you're paying your bills. And you're like, I like it when I put it in. I don't like it when I take it out. All right, so now we're at $856.93. You know what, I'm gonna come up here just so you can see better. And we need to subtract that fourth and final check. It is for $12.97. That's not as painful. Okay, so this is check number 4. And let's borrow 6, 9, 3, 4, and 8. This should be her final balance, making sure I did it right. Yay! All right, no miscalculations. $843.96. The fees for the checking account, the fees for the 4 checks, because her balance was under $1,500. She had to actually buy the checks to have them to use to pay people. That's how the world works, people. All right, and then subtracting each check, showing one at a time how much is going out and the available balance after each one. All right, problem F. We're getting there. It's almost time for a Zoom lesson and I'm still in math. All right, after the first month, Miss Arnold from problem E took her money out of the first bank and opened an account with a bank that offered free checking. See, I told you banks will compete for your business. All right, so they offered free checking. They're like, come over here, we don't charge you fees. All right, she made these deposits during the month. So she's got this money, $856. 93 cents. Forgot the cents amount. All right, she made these deposits, so it gives us 3 deposits, $93.80. Now, because in addition we can add more than one in at a time, we can go ahead and do this. 120. Just remember to keep your decimal points lined up. And 65. All right, and we can just put deposits. This is what we like to see in our bank accounts, numbers going up. Make sure I got them all. All right, so we add them. Whoa, that would be a 3. That would be the 2. There we go. Okay, she's back up to a nicer amount with a $1,135.73. So we can put all the deposits in at once. That's not a problem. She wrote checks for the following amounts: $11.57, $23.06, $44.75, $25, $10.50, and $135. What was her balance at the end of the month if the second bank charged $27.50 for 200 checks? All right, so she paid a little less for her checks over here, but she's also got to pay fees. She's also got to pay per check. Those types of things will start adding up. Well, she can't use the old bank's checks for her new account. That would not work because she needs a new account number, a routing number, and information that's attached to this bank and not this bank's information. So she is going to be out that, what was it, $27.50 to buy new checks. Gonna have to subtract that. And then you're also going to have to subtract her 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 checks, which would have been another $1.50 over here, and it's going to start to add up over time the more she writes those 200 checks. All right, so your job is going to be to finish problem F right now. Pause it, and then come back and let's see if you've got the correct answer. All right, so if you did the problem, you subtracted that $27.50 for the checks, and then you subtracted $11.57, $23.06, $44.75, $25, $10.50, and $135. You should have the final balance as $845.38. If you did not get that, go back and find your error. That would be silly to know the correct answer and not change it, but find where you made your mistake. I mean, we're talking addition and subtraction, people. It's easy math, but it's also easy to make an error. So go back and find it, fix it, adjust it, get the right answer. All right, on the back, let's go over what you're going to be doing on this page so I can get off and get to our Zoom lesson. Section 2, greater than or less than, comparing positive and negative numbers. Be careful. Remember, the furthest to the left, then it's going to be a lower value. The further to the right, it's going to be a higher value, always. Section 3, you're extracting the square roots. What times itself equals that number within the radical sign? And remember, your answer does not have a radical symbol in it anywhere, okay? Section 4, you're completing the time zone chart. Should be easy. A lot of you like those. Section 5, find the distance of that latitude from the equator. How far north or south from the equator in miles is it? Make sure you put miles in your answer. Cross off number 6, not going to do it. We didn't cover those. And then section 7, you've got 4 problems you can find the answer to. That's it. All right. So I will see you on the next lesson, the next Zoom session, the next phone call, whatever. But hopefully it's soon. Have a good day and happy May. We're almost done, guys. Bye.